The late 1970s, Lenny Henry's been a standout performer of stand-up. One of the few black faces on the circuit, he went from working men's clubs to national fame on New Faces. Along with his ex-wife Dawn French, Lenny Henry was at the forefront of the alternative comedy revolution that helped define the 1980s, and a certain Mr. Shakespeare encouraged him to reinvent himself as a serious actor, winning excellent reviews for his Othello. He's about to start a new comedy tour of the UK, and I'm going to be talking to him in a moment, but first, here's a reminder of Mr. Lenny Henry on stage.
I live in the country now. I'm the only black guy within 100 miles. Anything to do with blackness, I'm the expert. I'll get geezers knocking on my front door. Lenny, my daughter's going to Senegal for her gap year. Do you know anybody she can stay with? Come this way, I'll teach you to play basketball as well. Can you introduce me to Jay-Z? I think he's here somewhere. All the famous black people live with me.
Very fun. Lenny, you've been...
before the punchline. I love you guys. It's very nice to be in your studio, by the way. That's some picture window, isn't it?
It's a beautiful picture window.
It's very, and I like your opening credits. Are they new?
They're very new.
Because you're kind of like Danger Man, aren't you? I like it when you show your card to the black guys on the door at the BBC. You know nobody else gets into the BBC past those guys, apart from you and my brother.
And you?
It's true,
yeah.
I'm like, right on. They just let me straight through. Prime Minister came into there, they stopped him, they grilled him. Who are you? What is your name? Why do you think you can go into the BBC? All right, you're the Prime Minister. I say you're the Prime Minister. Get in there. Those guys are great.
Do I get to ask a question?
Of course. You better get up there. You better man up. You've got the Prime Minister on the minute.
I better get faster. I was going to say, you've been doing the stand-up since you were very, very young. We see the new show there. Has it changed a lot, the kind of the audience reaction, the stuff that the material that you're thinking about?
Yes, I think stand-up has changed in the last 20 years or so. I mean, it's gone from very much jokification to more observational. And I think I started off more as a comedy imp, which is what they used to call me, because they couldn't get the full comedy impressionist on the bill outside the club. I've gone from being a comedy imp to more of an observational comedian and character comedian. And I think I moved towards characters when I realised that being an impressionist was a sort of a very short-term thing, quite a limiting thing. Yeah. And it was much better to create your own characters, and it allowed you to grow and also develop into more of an actor, which is what I was aiming for in the first place. I always wanted to act more than comedian.
And the other thing that's always sort of drenched your life has been music, hasn't it? And
yes.
there's a piano on the stage in your new...
That's right, yes. And it's sort of my nemesis throughout the whole show, because when I was a kid, we couldn't afford a piano unless we sold the house and bought a piano and lived underneath it. And it was an extraordinary thing to want music lessons and to not be able to afford them. We're working class lads, you know. My mum bought a house with a hairline cracked down the middle on top of a sewer. So, you know, they must have seen her coming. But I always loved music. I was a consumer of music. And then when I was 14, I had this very strange epiphany that music was going to be part of my life. The first thing I did on stage was an impersonation of Elvis Presley, not a joke. I sang Jailhouse Rock all the way through. I knew all the words. I did all the moves. Because Elvis belonged to everyone. Elvis, we had pictures of Elvis as well as Jesus around our house. Elvis, Jesus,
well, it was black
Elvis,
music.
Jesus.
It was black music in
It
many
was
ways.
A phenomenal thing. You know, for many, many years, I thought Elvis was a relative. So... This kind of complete consumption of music throughout my whole life meant that when I came on to do television and have my own TV series, I was always doing musical parodies, Michael Jackson, Prince, Tina Turner, Outkast, because rock stars have more fun. It seemed to be rock music and being a rock singer and being in a band was much sexier than being a comedian. So it's like you put your ladder against one.
It's probably no longer the case, though, actually. I mean, comedians have become so hip and cool.
I think you're right. I think what's happened now, especially with the advent of the Mighty Boosh and people like Russell Brand, that now it's quite possible for a comedian to walk on stage at Wembley Arena and look like a rock star and have a similar kind of reaction. So it has changed a great deal, I think.
And what about magic? Because you've got this show, The Magicians, on BBC. I have to say, magic's not my thing particularly, but I was watching, and there's a sensational thing, for instance, with a mobile phone.
That's right.
Thrown into a food mixer by a couple of maniacs you've got on it.
Yes, Barry and Stuart are these young guys who won Comedy Magicians of the Year.
They're very bloodthirsty as well.
They're like escapees from Hogwarts. they're like, if hell had prefects, it would be Barry and Stewart. And they do kind of quite macabre tricks. And they're really, really good. The thing about magicians is that I've lost weight since we made that programme. A lot of people are watching it on Google.
You lost a bit of weight?
Yeah, they're watching it on Google Earth so they can actually get all my bum onto the screen, which I think is good. But I've really enjoyed doing magicians. It's great. It's a thing about magic is it's quite an egalitarian family thing. The whole family can watch it and enjoy it, and I've really enjoyed participating in it.
The other thing that surprised a lot of people when you did it and then got rave reviews was Othello, which, you know, so Shakespeare and you have not been an obvious match in the past.
Not really, no. I was allergic to it, I think.
Just before we talk about it, let's just see a clip so people can see what we're talking about.
Okay.
Oh, my soul's joy, if after every tempest come such calms, may the winds blow till they awaken death, and let the labouring bark climb hills of seas, Olympus high, and then duck again as low as hell from heaven. If it were now to die, 'twere now to be most happy.
Now, you used to zone yourself into that by playing hip-hop, is that right?
Yeah, I say this in Cradle to Rave. I used to put headphones on in the interval, because in the interval I've changed. I'm now going to kill my wife. You know, I'm going to strangle her because she's betrayed me and she's lost the hanky and all that kind of stuff.
This is Othello, not the stand-up.
This is Othello, yeah. In the stand-up, there's no killing.
There's no killing.
No, there's no pillow. There's no killing.
Right.
So in Othello, I'm listening to Ice Cube or sort of Biggie Smalls or something, and it's basically shoot a mofo in the head with an Uzi for all of the interval. So I'm doing this, and I'm getting really into it. And about 20 minutes in, I'm thinking this is going really well. I'm really, really tranced. I'm really psyched up. And one of the actors came up and said, "Lenny, the second half started 10 minutes ago," and I had to run to the stage, and I could hear them going, "Here comes my lord now. Here comes my lord now-ish. I think my lord be stuck in traffic." It was really, really awful. And I ran to the stage, and I was getting these Paddington stares from the ladies, you know.
Yeah.
I showed up early for all my other scenes, so it was...
But you got these sort of sensational reviews, which leads me to ask whether you'd like to do some more straight acting. Yeah,
definitely. I think this tour, which is 67 dates, we go everywhere, is an incredible thing, but it is very lonely. You're very much on your own. I've got a team, Len. You know, I've got a piano teacher and a voice teacher and a director, Sam Buntrock, who's fantastic, co-writer John Cantor. But when you're in a play, what's wonderful is you get a support network of a cast who become a little family. And Shakespeare is so wonderful to come to because the text is there. Nobody's saying, "Can we cut this? Can we cut that joke at the end of Act 3?" It's the text is set, and so you have a structure, and you can devote yourself to learning it throughout the whole rehearsal period, rather than sitting there going, "That's not funny. Can we have a snack and cut it?" You know.
Lenny, it's been a huge privilege having you on. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you
and you
very,
have
very much.
superbly introduced the next item on the show, who's an actor as well.